Let's have a fucking moan, shall we? ICS Hera. Everyone is going fucking nuts because these PTS mags have come out to hold, what, 250 rounds? Have you seen how shit these are? Have you fucking seen how shit these are? I'll show you how shit they are. All you've got to do is speed load the ammo into it, okay? That's no problem, surely. We'll get the ammo in there. Yeah, that's no problem. There we go. There we go. Cool. Well, let's put some more ammo in there. Now the beauty of these things is that you can just put 250 rounds in it. So you can have a mid-cap that isn't a mid-cap. Oh, there we go, okay. What? It's getting a little bit hard, isn't it? Let's put some more rounds in there. Let's see how many we can get in. Oh, okay. There it goes. Cool. Alright. Okay, it's actually pushing the ammo back up into the speed loader. That's really good. So I've got to release it a little bit each time I fucking do it. This is literally fucking fuck that. Okay. It's a wanker to load. It's a wanker to load. An absolute shithole. And what happens when you have one of these fully loaded and you put it inside your gun? Well, I'm not going to do it because I don't fancy fucking up my customer's gun. But I tell you what happens. The plastic is too hard on the nozzle when you get loads of feed jams depending on your gun. And after watching so many people at Zmart trying to use these, sitting there in the safe zone cranking on these fucking winding machines and snapping the bitch off, I've seen... Really? Really? Just carry 2 mags. Carry 2... Just carry 2. 220 round mags. Just carry 2. You know? Feeding? Yeah, okay. So, the first 50 or 60 rounds barely feed. They barely feed. I've seen so many people struggling. Now, I know some of you cunts out there, I've got one and mine's perfectly fine. I don't give a fuck. Most of the people I've seen, these fucking things don't feed properly. Oh, you have to wait them to bed in. Fuck off. Get 2 fucking 120 mags. Who gives a fuck? Get 3 120 mags. You're all wearing the gear anyway. Just get 3 mags. Honestly, they piss me off so much. And there's people in the briefing and trying to fucking speak to them, trying to tell them what the game rules, and they're fucking pushing them. They won't fucking, and they stand there. Well, it won't fucking, it won't go. It's only feeding someone. Load of shit. Okay, I've emptied some rounds out now. So, this gun here is one that somebody bought second hand. Now, this originally had the Hera stock on it and so forth, and that's a fucking shitstorm of a design anyway, because the pistol grip is only about that long, and the motor sits really badly inside the gearbox. You've got to shim this like fuck. Now, anyone who runs these ICS things knows that they are one of the guns that have got really fucking shitty AOE. And I mean shitty AOE. So you've got the fucking pick-up tooth here, and the gear is fucking hidden here. It's really shit. So obviously, yeah, his piston was fucked. Fucked beyond all belief. But what else was wrong with this gun? Now, this is something that's picked up second hand. Okay? Picked up second hand. Had a max hop unit in it that didn't feed. Shock horror. I do like a max hop unit. They do give you excellent results. But it takes a hell of a task to tinker with them and get them in there. Honestly, if you're going to do the max hop unit thing, don't pay someone to do it. Just get in there and fucking learn to do it yourself. Okay? Because it can take a little while to get that fucking thing working, and that's time you're fucking paying for, isn't it? So, don't do that. Fit it yourself. If you need to have a max hop unit, just do that. Or, you know, in one of these, you're kind of stuck because it takes a bizarre hop unit, which is really fucking annoying. This gun was trashed. Aside from any inherent feeding issues and the nonsense that comes with this as standard, the Mosfet was blown. The Mosfet was blown. It was playing up quite a lot. I've done what I can with it, but in the end I had to tear it out and then modify the gearbox to take a fucking Perun, which is what we did instead. Tappet plate was trashed. Absolutely trashed. Gears. Fucking trashed. Absolutely and completely fucking trashed. Very, very, very annoying. Piston head got replaced because the O-ring was nasty and it's getting a bit worn. Cylinder was a weird size and I had to change it out. Piston, absolutely fucking stripped to all fuck. Stripped to all fuck. Spring, all bowed and twisted. Chopped off here. There was no hop that was working on it properly because the nub wasn't installed. The guy bought this second hand like this and he paid way too much for it. Way too much. I had quite a time getting this thing to go. It really was a bit of a struggle, but now it goes lovely. But you've got to think to yourself when you're buying second-hand goods, if this is such a bargain, why the fuck is it being sold so cheaply? If it's got all this cool shit going on, why is it so cheap? And if it's not cheap, don't buy it second-hand. You've got that choice. Because when you buy second-hand stuff, unless you know the person, I fucking seriously test it out. Because this was a fucking shitstorm. Absolute shitstorm. It's not on. It's absolutely not on. So, here's what I've done to it. Changed the stock over, that kept my bits box. That's going to cost absolutely nothing. We've kept the original tube. And wired for a Perun in the same manner that they keep their tube. Pretty cool. I like that. Pistol grip. This one is, God, I can't remember who makes that pistol grip. But a gun is nice. It now goes. We have lost the little blowback function that goes on it because only their piston allows that and their piston's trash. So, there we go. Let's give her a test fire. Arm. Really cool. Really happy with it. Really happy with it. Now, ICS guns are not the quietest things on the planet. They're really not the quietest things on the planet. What are you going to do? It's the split gearbox design. It does leave some kind of flaws going on, but fuck it. If you decide you're going to put a Perun or something inside here, be aware the little clip that sits at the front of the lower of the gearbox that sort of moves up and down in its spring doesn't move quite as well. So the next time you decock this and you decide to take the upper off the lower, just be aware of that clip. You might have to push it down with a little Allen key or something, alright? Just a bit of advice from me. When I'm modifying guns for people, there's some things that normally go without saying. I'm going to show you a completely standard gun and how it sounds. This is a brand spanking new A&K. Got this for a customer and then he didn't want it. Fuck you. I know him, it's fine. I don't know where to put the battery in, so let's figure that shit out. I'm going to assume it's up the front, and I've got a fiddle with things to figure out how to do it. I'm going to guess it's that pin. 111-120C. Never plugged a battery in this, so I don't know how it sounds. It sounds alright. Sounds alright. It's got that lovely scale electric fucking smell because it's brand spanking new. But there we go. Sounds alright. Okay. Let's do a 7.4. Big difference, right? Big difference. Now, if we were to plug the same batteries into the custom gun, here's the 11.1. Here's the 7.4. You can hear a very definite difference. The Masada on the 7.4 sounded a lot snappier and happier on the 7.4 than this one. Weird, right? But the 11.1, this one sounds better than the other one. Reason being, boys and girls, is that we have optimised this gun. Now, if you change a couple of things, it's like a fucking seesaw. If you just take one thing and teeter it, as one end gets higher, one end gets lower. So I don't know, if you're driving a little chav car around your fucking council estate and you've got racing tyres on it and it's lowered, you know, you get some benefits out of that. One of which is that you look like a wanker. But secondly, you might have to take it a bit slower when it comes to speed bumps. You know, there's an up and a down with these things that you do. Everything in life is a fucking seesaw. When I'm doing a custom gun, I'm optimising it for a particular setup. And I'll tell the customer what battery is best for it. In this case, 11.1, 20 or 25C is optimal for this gun. But not every gun is optimal like that. Some guns are best off on a 15C 11.1. If I'm doing a lot of DSG builds, for people who just want to use lots of semi-auto, I often make it so it can use a 7.4 volt LiPo. Because that way they can use the full auto if they want to, and it's not mega fucking cuntish, but the semi-auto is still rather snappy. Now, what people don't get is that when people wanted to have high-speed guns, before we had the LiPo technology, you know, we were using DSGs because it gave you a much faster rate of fire, and it means you could have a much snappier response without having to go and try and cram a fucking giant NIMI or NiCad battery inside your gun. Now we've got LiPo technology, we don't need it. But other people are optimising their guns to use 11.1s and high torque motors and make it into speed soft wanker guns. And more power to them. I don't do wanker guns, don't really like it, as you know, but for the semi-auto response, it is very cool. But I have noticed that I'm getting the same response out of a set of 12-to-1 gears on semi-auto with the right setup on 11.1 as what I am with a DSG doing the same power with the right setup. Just saying. So if you've now got a gun that is tuned to be 11.1, you might find the performance on a 7.4 is a little bit underwhelming. Now this has got a high torque motor in it as standard. It's on its way out, and I would advise the customer in this case to put in a high speed motor, because the gears I've got in here are internal bearing steel ZCI gears that are 18-to-1 ratio. I tried this gun on a 13-to-1 and it did not like it. It just didn't like it. It really was uncomfortable with it, and that's the design of the casing of the gun. Just how it is. It didn't like the 13-to-1s. When I put the 18-to-1 internal bearing in here, really picked up. Much, much, much happier. So, we can use a high-speed motor with the gun. Now, I'm watching loads of people saying you should never put a high-speed motor with a high-speed gear set, and to the most point, they are right. But it depends on the build you're doing. It depends what you're aiming for. If you were to put a high-speed motor and a fucking 12-to-1 gear set inside this gun and run it at 11.1, it's not going to be happy. You're going to have far too much energy flowing. You're going to find the parts get hot really quickly, and you're more likely for the parts to damage themselves over time than what you are if you're using a high torque motor and a high speed gear set, or a regular or torque gear set and a high speed motor. But there are times when you want to be using a high speed motor and a high speed gear set. For example, if you're using 7.4s, if you're using 11.1 that's very, very, very small. I've seen a couple of guns recently that are so compact, they're using these tiny little 11.1s. So in that case, you could use a high-speed motor and a high-speed gear set if you fucking felt like it. It depends on the build. It depends on the build. The builds that I've seen come in, and I see that it's, you know, running 11.1 and it's got a fucking 12-to-1 gear set and a high-speed motor and fucking R-hopped barrel that's this long, and it's like, right, you've basically gone, I want a fast gun, and someone stuffed the fastest parts in it, and that's why your gun don't fucking work. So just bear that in mind. It's not always wrong to put speed and speed. It's not always wrong to put torque and torque, but you're best off doing speed and torque or torque and speed. Speed, torque, torque, speed, 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 torque. And let's crack out this bad boy. This is one that I've done for somebody recently. So, initially I did this in purples because he wanted purple. He saw that I did fire on somebody else's gun a little bit. He wanted the same thing in purple. When I did it, it looked like a fucking comic book Marvel nerd had painted as like a Joker's penis. So I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So what I've done instead is I've got all the fire on it instead. Then we've got these bits. You won't believe it, but this is actually grey. But next to the blacks and the shading I've done to it, it looks kind of blue, which is very cool. So that's the way I've done it. Lots of custom parts in it. I've got the bullet for a charging handle. Now this gun's been optimised to be running on an 11.1. This one can use a 25C or a 20C. Doesn't matter. It's happy with both. But I've done it so it can run these batteries here, because these ones here slide perfectly into the tube. Like that. Then you've got the 11.1 trigger response that you want. You can hear a difference between that battery and the other one. What does this sound like on a 7.4? I built this to be on an 11.1. So on a 7.4, you can't spam it quite as much. It still sounds good, but I built this to be based around the 11.1 technology. If we were to put the 11.1 into a standard gun, you might get a similar trigger response to that of this battery here. It depends, because there's active braking on this. Active braking slows the cycle time down. It gives you more heat through your motor, but it does mean you can use semi-auto more reliably with a faster setup, if that makes sense. So let's do 7.4 versus a very small 11.1. It's comparable. Full auto is faster, but a semi-auto, much happier. It is comparable to the 7.4. Yeah? Next thing we're going to talk about, fuck off. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Perun unit. I have moved over to Perun because I find them to be more reliable. I'm very happy with these units, but it did take me a little bit of getting used to on how to set them up, because the instructions are not very clear. They're not very clear. There's things they leave off. You get a little card on it, and it says choose your mode. So we go semi-full, semi-full. So ready, we plug a battery in. Okay, it's on semi right now, so we're going to do full, semi, full, semi. And it beeps at me. That's good. Now, that tells me that I'm about to adjust the semi. So, second one. Push less than 2 seconds. We press it 0 times, it's in safe. Press it once, it's in semi. And then if it says push and hold for over 2 seconds, that's now set that to semi. Cool, right? And we can go up through the settings. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is auto. 7. You get a second beep, because now we've gone on to the active braking. What if we want to turn the active braking off? It says nothing about it. Here's what you do. Now, what if you want to turn... Let's do the pre-cocking. Pre-cocking is now off. Beep, 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 beep. That's the pre-cocking on and what power it is. So let's change the power. It doesn't tell you on here. We're going to go that's a low amount of pre-cocking. Ready? So now, pre-cocking has jumped up a little bit. 2 beeps. 2 press and hold. There we go. So now we fire it. The 11-1 is really allowing that to go. Fuck off, I said. Let's see how much more we can put onto it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That sounds fucking great, doesn't it? What happens if we do more? Three, ready? Now we're on to 4 little beeps. Ready? Double taps. Too much pre-cocking. Semi, 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 semi. But it sounds a little bit crunchy. It's unhappy. Too much pre-cocking. We've got to change that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can go faster. We won't do that though. Back to the lowest setting. Arm. And there we go. That's how it works. So let's do a complete reset. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've now entered this back into calibration mode. So, we're putting it on semi first. Now we're going to go to full. And it's happy. Semi. We've reset absolutely everything to new thresholds. That means that I've recalibrated the trigger and it's going way too fast. There's no active braking, everything is blank canvas. So now if we plug in our 7.4, it goes back to sounding like a regular AEG. Then when you plug the 11.1 in, much faster, but you can hear noise. And it can't do semi. However, we're going to turn the active braking on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There it is. Now it works perfectly. Now you're going to get more heat out of here. You're going to use more juice from your battery. But you've now enabled the ability to run it on the 11.1 without double tapping. But it has slowed down the cycle time. But now you've slowed down the cycle time. It starts at fucking A, goes to Z, goes back to A again. And that's where the pre-cocking comes in. Now, 7, 8. So now, much smoother, much faster, because the piston is very slightly drawn back already. So now, if we adjust the pre-cocking time up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2 beeps. We want it to go faster. Now it's on 3 beeps. So it's going to get faster. So now we pull and hold. Remember, when you're using a gun with pre-cock, you want to make sure you turn it off or onto the lowest possible setting just to help your spring not lose any compression and to keep everything Just nice. What I also like about these, it's got an anti-cunt device built in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Double shot. That means it's on binary. I don't like binary. Not my thing. I think it's dangerous. It means everyone you shoot's probably going to get 2. You know, it's not... no. I like to choose when it fires, you know? But with the Perun, if you go too fast, it will still do semi. Anti-wanker device. Let's turn that fucking nonsense off. Okay. And that's it. That's how the unit works. Remember, if you've got an optimised gun, use the battery that the person who's built you the gun says to use. Use it with the correct ammo. Make sure you look after it. The more you fiddle with inside your gun, the more likely you are to get a bit of a breakdown. You know, it could happen. So, the more you fuck with it, the reliability can go down very slightly. And that's why I don't go balls to the wall with modifications. Because the more shit you put in it, the more likelihood you've got of the cunt going wrong. So there we go. I've had my moan. And you've learnt some shit. Aren't I fucking kind? Fuck. Here, psst. Do you want a sneaky look at something? PSG1 grip for a WE gas blowback G3. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Psst. Springfield SAR. Oh, yes.